Stop scrolling for once and actually learn something interesting. Maybe then, for once, people will think you're smart and not completely brain-rotted. First fact, a single cloud can weigh over 1,000,000 tons. Even though clouds look light, fluffy, and harmless, they're actually made up of billions and billions of tiny water droplets or ice crystals. Each droplet is incredibly small, but when you add them all together across a massive cloud, the total weight can exceed 1,000,000 tons. That's heavier than 1,000,000 elephants combined. The reason clouds don't fall out of the sky is because the droplets are spread out over a huge area and are constantly held up by rising air currents. Second fact, there's a species of jellyfish that can technically live forever. It's called the immortal jellyfish, and instead of dying like most animals, it can reverse its life cycle. When it's injured, starving, or stressed, it can transform its adult cells back into juvenile cells and start its life all over again. This process is known as transdifferentiation. It doesn't mean the jellyfish can't be killed by predators or disease, but under the right conditions, it can avoid aging entirely, making it biologically immortal. Third fact, your brain uses about 20% of your body's total energy. This is wild when you consider that your brain only makes up about 2% of your body weight. Even when you're doing absolutely nothing, just staring at a wall, your brain is still working non-stop. It's controlling your breathing, heartbeat, memories, emotions, and subconscious movements. That constant activity is why intense thinking can make you feel mentally exhausted, even if you haven't moved at all. Fourth fact, a day on Venus is longer than a year on Venus. Venus rotates extremely slowly on its axis. It takes about 243 Earth days to complete one full rotation, but it only takes about 225 Earth days to orbit the Sun. That means a single day on Venus lasts longer than an entire Venusian year. Venus also spins in the opposite direction of most planets, so the Sun would rise in the west and set in the east. Fifth fact, octopuses have blue blood. Unlike humans, whose blood uses iron to carry oxygen and appears red, octopus blood uses a copper-based molecule called hemocyanin. Copper turns blue when it binds with oxygen. This type of blood works better in cold, low-oxygen environments, which is perfect for deep ocean conditions. Sixth fact, there are more possible games of chess than atoms in the observable universe. This number is known as the Shannon number, and it describes the mind-blowing number of different possible chess games. The estimate is around 120 possible games, while scientists believe there are only about 1080 atoms in the observable universe. Seventh fact, your stomach constantly replaces its own lining. The acid in your stomach is strong enough to dissolve metal, which sounds like a terrible design flaw. To avoid digesting itself, your stomach produces a thick layer of protective mucus and completely replaces its lining every few days. If this process fails, it can lead to ulcers, where the acid actually starts damaging the stomach wall. Eighth fact, a single lightning strike can be hotter than the surface of the sun. Lightning can reach temperatures of around 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 5 times hotter than the sun's surface. This extreme heat causes the surrounding air to rapidly expand and explode outward, creating the shockwave we hear as thunder. Ninth fact, wombats produce cube-shaped poop. Yes, actually cubes. Their intestines have a unique shape and elasticity that molds the poop as it forms. The cube shape helps keep the poop from rolling away, which is important because wombats use it to mark their territory. 10th fact, there are more trees on Earth than stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Scientists estimate there are about 3 trillion trees on Earth. Meanwhile, astronomers believe the Milky Way contains roughly 100 to 400 billion stars. That means Earth has several times more trees than our galaxy has stars.